my name is Forrest. I'm going to walk you through a very quick demo of how to do sentiment analysis on product reviews from a retail website. So first thing I'm going to do is open a project and pull in some data. The data I'm going to use today is actually living in Snowflake. So if I go to my Snowflake account, I've got a table called product reviews. It's in a database called labs and so on. And you can see the output. It's a score of 1 to 5. It's the title of the review and then the actual text. This came from Kaggle and it was originally basically Amazon public reviews. So public domain data. So I'm going to add the data set. I can upload the file locally. I can connect to one of 580 or so different data sources. I've got some GCP buckets here I can pull it from, but in this case we're going to use Snowflake. This is product reviews. Just put in the metadata for the database and schema and so on, and I'm going to write my select statement without the space. There we go. So select star from product reviews, run the query, and that's going to pull the data into the canvas. So next, just convert the SQL data types into default data types for the platform, which are typically pandas type data types. And I now have the data on the canvas and available. So I've connected, you can see the reviews here. I've connected this data, I can do data analysis, I can segment it and so on. Let's just look at the source. You can see from Snowflake date, there's an audit history, tells me when it was pulled in, who did it, and I can edit and go and change. So I can put a limit statement on there, reduce the number of rows. I'm actually going to do that on the canvas rather than in the SQL statement. And I'm going to do that by adding an AI assisted recipe. So an AI assisted recipe uses something called Ask AI. Basically, I'm going to have a conversation with this data set, and I'm going to ask an LLM to generate code to perform operations on the data set. And I'm just going to use plain prompts for that. Example would be plot count of score. So I want to know the distribution of the scores across 1 to 5. Assuming that we're always more negative and we're giving more negative reviews than positive. What it's doing now, it's sent the prompt and the schema to the LLM. The LLM was asked to create Python code. It sent back the Python code. We evaluate it and we run it, and now we get the output. So we can have a quick view of the Python code. It's using Plotly and pulling out the chart. And I can also add that to the canvas, so that it's there and available. So whenever I run this job in future, this will be recreated, and I can go and look when I'm doing prompt engineering and trying to evolve the model. I can go and look and see if the distribution is the same. So the other thing I'm going to do is just reduce the size of the data set. So I want to extract 20 row sample, and I want 4 of each scores, and that's good, right? So again, sends the prompt and the schema to the LLM creates Python code, we get the Python code back and run it, evaluate it, and now we've got our output. So it's created a random sample of data with 4 rows of each score. Again, add that to the recipe, let's call it 20 row sample, there we go. Run that, and it's going to run the code. I can see all of the code up here. I can actually go and edit the code if I'm a Python programmer. I've got example syntax I can pull in for lots of different APIs. So if I don't know where to start, I can go and pull it in. So this is a way of enhancing the generated code that the platform produces. Another way to do that is to connect a code recipe. So maybe I am a Python programmer and just want to write code. And let me just see if that's my buffer, which it is nearly. I've lost the D up there. There we go. So I'm defining a transform. It takes entities in the context. These are maintained by the canvas itself, by the product, and it's going to pull in a 20 row sample. In this case, I'm looking for an entity in the sample. I cut and paste, plot reviews. I'm going to do 20 rows there's my system message. So this is the code that gets sent with the text of the review. It's got this set of instructions sent to the LLM. So effectively I'm doing prompt engineering. I'm telling the LLM what to do, and then I'm passing it a piece of text to operate on. And as I iterate over this model, I'm going to go and change this text. So basically I'm telling the LLM it's an automated tool that generates JSON. It's going to create a JSON object that's got sentiment, category and classification in it. The sentiments are scored between 1 and 5. Category is a product type. If it can't work out what that is from the text, then just put in a null. Same for classification. I want it either faulty, poor quality, value for money, or null. And don't add the keyword JSON. So in previous iterations, occasionally the LLM would put JSON in front, which isn't wrong, but it wasn't consistent. So I just removed that. I've got a function that's going to send the data to the LLM. And in this case, it is going to send to GPT-4o Mini, so a slightly faster, smaller model, and it sends in the system message from my prompt engineering and the text that's passed in as a parameter to the function, and the text is coming from this input data frame, this input data set. So I'm passing in the reviews text column. I'm running the sentiment analysis function above by sending that text on my prompt engineering, my system message to the LLM, getting the result back and putting it in an output data frame called scored. So when I run that and go back to the canvas, you can see it's running. It's going to send each of the rows one at a time to the LLM. It's going to score it and get the results back. Once I get the results back, what I want to be able to do is write those back to Snowflake. And then I can set up a job that takes this end-to-end pipeline, will pull the latest data from Snowflake, will pass it through the processing of defined in the pipeline, and take the result and write it back to Snowflake. So let's go into the output data. Let's first of all look at the output data, and we can see the results. So we can see a slight disagreement here between the classifications that the user who wrote the survey did and how we're interpreting the results. If we want to get that closer, we could put additional context in the system message, more prompt engineering to try and validate it and get it closer. But you can see we've got kitchen appliance and faulty, so it's some kind of coffee grinder it looks like there. And so on. So it's done a reasonable job of getting products, not perfect, and classifications, again, reasonable given the small number I gave it. But that would be an iterative process to increase the prompts, the prompt engineering effort, and also put in the evaluation framework we've got available to use. Okay, so what I want to be able to do is go and write that back to Snowflake. I'm going to choose Snowflake. I'm going to give it a table name, which is scored, no space, views. Put in metadata again. I can either append or replace. If this is an existing table, obviously append would add, replace would replace the contents. If the table doesn't exist, I've currently got it configured to create a new table with that name. I can save and I can export just to test that's working. So now it's writing this data set back to Snowflake. So I should look at it in Snowflake, data exported successfully, so I know it's good. And I can now go and set up a job and have that operate and run on a daily, weekly, or hourly, minute, second basis. Okay, so let's just say we're going to do it daily at 1 AM. And I save that. And we'll go back to my dashboard. Job's not run because it's not run yet. So go to jobs, I can see those jobs ready to run. So it's scheduled active, hasn't yet run. Okay, I can go rename it. So very quick demo, pulling data from Snowflake, connecting it to recipes in the canvas, this Ask AI conversational interface, very powerful tool, allows me to data engineering, feature engineering, analytics. I generated a chart to just review the scores, I generated a data set, put in my code recipe, basically a simple pull the text column, send it, get the score back, and append the score to the input. And then that resulting score gets written back to Snowflake, and I end up with a job running daily that's pulling from Snowflake and writing back to Snowflake. Okay, thanks for your time.